All right, welcome back, students. So what we're going to do here is continue on here with question number 10. So if you were watching the previous video, you would have seen that all the work was done. So I'm going to go ahead and copy paste stuff in here so I don't have to go through all that work again, which is what you would have done if you were doing this problem on your own on an exam. So I'll have the question here. Let me just bring it up. Here's the actual question that we're looking at here. And so the question's asking you to essentially consider here how many moles of hydrochloric acid are produced. And so the two problems here, we already know that the limiting reactant for this problem was this first reactant here, the C2H3Cl. And we're being asked to consider how many moles of the hydrochloric acid, that's HCl. The main thing to look at this, assuming that you've already done the work before to identify the limiting reactant, is that all you really need to do here is to compare the ratios between the product that's desired, the HCl, and the limiting reactant. In this case, if you look at the ratio is 2 for the limiting reactant to 2 moles of the product HCl. So the ratio is 2 to 2 or 1 to 1. And so if we know the moles of the limiting reactant, we know the number of moles for the product that's desired here of HCl. So let me go grab all of that extra work that we've done in the previous problem, bring it over, so you can just reference that and then look at it and make a quick, easy decision as to what you're going to do. So let me go ahead and grab that and then I'll paste it onto the screen. All right, so I just copied and pasted the work from the previous problem, so I'm just going to resize this here. Some of this is really not that important for us. So let me just rearrange things here on the screen for us and eliminate those items that are not relevant. So we don't need this, we don't need that. And so I'm just going to assume that we have all this work here already. I'm not going to erase anything else. However, what we do need to do, or what we do need to identify here, is to identify how many moles of the limiting reactant did we have. And so you can quickly identify here, I had circled it, here's the limiting reactants, okay? And so remember here in green, we were trying to figure out how many moles of carbon monoxide were produced. And so the only thing that needs to change here is, notice the ratio was 4 to 2 because the carbon monoxide coefficient was a 4 and the limiting reactant coefficient was a 2. In this particular case, we're looking at hydrochloric acid. So that's 2 moles of HCl produced for every 2 moles of limiting reactant consumed. So that means that the only thing we need to identify is the numerator. And so if I just go ahead and update this here, you could have easily done this on your own sheet. So we're just going to take this and we're going to say 2 moles of HCl. Okay. Obviously that's going to change the answer. So let me go ahead and get rid of that answer for us because this is going to be completely different. And so let's erase all of that right there. And so in order for me to get that new answer now, I need to go ahead and do the multiplication here. So one thing you should have already identified is that whenever you have a numerator over a numerator, obviously this is going to simplify. This is a 1 and this is a 1. So 1 divided by 1 times 0.2497. The answer is pretty obvious at this point. The answer is 0.2497. And this is going to be moles of HCl. Okay. So let me just go ahead and write this at the very end here, 0.2497 moles of HCl. And this is going to be produced. Okay. Now, the reason I was able to get this so quickly is because as long as you understand the mole ratios here, there really is not any significant need to do additional work because all you have to do is kind of reflect, hey, you know, the ratio is 1 to 1. So as long as I know the mole number, the moles of the limiting reactant, it will be the same amount for the product. Okay, and so that would be the answer here for this one. So you would enter, since this answer is being sought to 3 significant figures, again, we'll come back over here. The line is actually right here. So that means up here, the 9 actually, the 7 is going to increase that 9 to a 0 or a 10, which would bring this answer to 0.250 moles of HCl. Is your final answer to 3 sig figs here at the very end. Okay, so that's an explanation of how to do these problems, and hopefully that was helpful for you. But if you haven't already done so, subscribed, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Keep watching, keep learning. We'll see you in the next video.